film begins with a man named Charlie Mate returning from his trip with his son, Anatole. The boy begs his father, Charlie, to let him come downtown to see a show. As Charlie goes to park his car in the garage, a group of masked men attack and shoot him. They also kill his dog, and fortunately, miraculously, he survives, but he slowly loses consciousness. Meanwhile, he recalls a memory from when he was a young man in prison. He receives advice from a gangster called the Old Timer. He warns him that there is no way out of the world of crime, especially after delving into it. Charlie is rushed to the hospital while doctors struggle to remove the 22 bullets from his body. We are introduced to a man named Tony Zacchia, who is then informed of Charlie's condition. He is clearly a man of power. It leaves us wondering if he was the one who hired the gunman to kill Charlie. The news of Charlie's shooting is broadcast. The news anchor states that Charlie was a mobster and is now retired. Later, the police officer, Marie Goldman, who takes care of the case, appears and goes to search for the crime scene. At the hospital, we see another flashback from Charlie's past, when he learns that Old Timer was killed by a rival. As a result, Charlie, along with his friends Tony Zacchia and Kareem, decided to kill a famous gangster named Hernandez. In retaliation for killing their teacher, Old Timer, they swear to remain friends and set out to get revenge on Hernandez. They manage to kill him. Hence begins their journey in the Mafia world. In the present, Marie is confronted by her boss, who advises her to drop the case. This is because Charlie is an ex-mob boss, and the police should let them clear some of them up. But she resists and insists on completing the case because maybe she can find her husband's killer. She visits Charlie in the hospital and questions him, but he remains silent, so she walks away frustrated. Meanwhile, Charlie's lawyer, Martin, enters with Charlie's best friends, Pat and Kareem. At night, as Marie is putting her son to bed, she receives an ominous call. She spends the night grieving for her late husband. Later, Kareem gets angry and decides to take revenge on those responsible for attacking Charlie. But Martin advises him to wait until Charlie wakes up from his coma. A man disguises himself as medical staff and infiltrates the hospital. He enters Charlie's room and shoots him several times. It becomes clear that the patient was not Charlie. Marie had moved him to another room earlier. Marie forms a watch crew outside the hospital. While on watch, Tony Zacchia enters the hospital to visit Charlie. He expresses his satisfaction at being alive. Before he left, he gave him a card telling him there were security cameras everywhere. The police are watching him through an ambulance in front of the hospital. Soon after, Martin and Kareem visit him. They decided to take him with them. Marie catches up with them and Kareem notices that she is following them. So he decides to hurry up and asks for help from his friend to block her way. After Marie stops following them, Kareem took the car into an old warehouse, where one of Tony's men was chained to a chair, who was frightened. Charlie sets out to tell him that he won't hurt him as long as he's on their side. He tells him that Tony has sent his men to kill him. This is because Charlie has decided to retire and let him run the drug business on his own, and he was afraid that one day Charlie would get in his way. Kareem advises him to kill Tony, but he is heartbroken because Tony is his best friend. He remembers the oath they took when they were young. Martin takes Charlie home and his family welcomes him. Kareem also returns to his family, but when he gets out, he is kidnapped by Tony's men. It transpires that the idea to kidnap Charlie came from the man who was previously tied to the chair. Kareem is killed and they send one of his fingers to his family as a warning. Charlie is devastated to hear about Kareem's death. He attends the funeral and sees Kareem's family grieving. He decides to take revenge, so he asks Pat to take his family to a safe place. At night, Tony's men throw a party, where they did not feel the guilt of killing Kareem, but their celebration fails with the arrival of Charlie. He orders them to lay down their arms and gives them a chance to say goodbye to their loved ones. He shoots one of them as he recognized him by his watch. He was among the gunmen who shot him earlier. The next day at the cemetery, while one of Tony's men visits a man who was killed the night before by Charlie, Charlie arrives and kills him too. Tony sends his men to Charlie's house to search for him or his family, but they find no one. Martin arrives at Charlie's house and sees the mess. He runs to tell Charlie. Unbeknownst to him, however, Tony's men are following him to Charlie's hideout. It didn't take long for them to get around them. Charlie tries to distract them while Martin tries to escape by boat, but one of the men caught him. Eventually, Charlie escapes with a bike while Tony's men pursue him. He crashes into a police car and is arrested for questioning, where Marie was there. She is revealing important information about bullets at the crime scene, as it was concluded that one of the 5 shooters did not want to kill Charlie, and she added that she would not arrest him, because she was certain that Tony Zakia was behind the killing of her husband. Tony is at his daughter's wedding. Unbeknownst to him, Charlie was outside his house. He arrests one of his men and demands that he hand over Tony's drug transaction data. Tony learns what happened and rushes to the drug lab. There he unleashes his rage and orders his men to capture Charlie, dead or alive. The next day, Pat goes to pick up Charlie's kids Anatole and Eva from school. Suddenly, a car stops next to them. Anatole and Eva are kidnapped by a group of men. Marie arrives, but it is too late. The police find Eva and take her to the police station. It turns out that she was beaten. She tells them Anatole will kill unless Charlie turns himself in. Charlie gets into Marie's car and asks for her help in spreading fake news, and the fake news is that the police have arrested him. So Tony will stop searching and let his son go. He promises her to turn himself in after his son returns. She agrees to cooperate with him. Tony hears the news. Enraged, he sends a man to kill Anatole, but Charlie follows the man to the site where Anatole is being held. Inside the house, another man was watching the child. Then he ordered him to kill Anatole. But instead of doing what he was ordered to do, he beats the man and releases Anatole, but the man stabs him from behind. Charlie was outside, caught in the wires, helplessly trying to free himself. The man picks up Anatole, puts him in the trunk and drives away. Charlie jumps onto the car, fights with the man, and manages to kill him and free his son. When he got home, he told his wife that they no longer needed to hide because he had gotten rid of all of Tony's men. The next day, while Tony is relaxing at his house, Charlie appears, and despite everything that happened, it turns out that Charlie is willing to put everything aside for the sake of their friendship. Although he didn't want to kill Tony, yet power-hungry Tony is still determined to get rid of Charlie. He attacks him, pinning him to the ground and holding the gun to his face. Tony hears a noise and Charlie seizes the opportunity and attacks him. The police arrive in the nick of time and proceed to arrest Tony for running an illegal gang. It turns out that Charlie helped Marie get enough evidence to prove that Tony is a drug cartel boss. Later, Charlie is questioned by the police. It transpires that the police are unable to find any evidence that proves his involvement in the drug trade, so he is released. Outside the police station, Martin greets him and Charlie tells him to take him to the parking garage, where he was previously shot. Once there, we learn that the only man who aimed at the wall was Martin. Charlie feels betrayed, so he points his gun at Martin, who proceeds to defend himself by saying Tony only sent him to kill someone, but he did not specify who that person was. He says he was shocked to discover that he had been sent to kill Charlie, and he couldn't leave, so he didn't shoot him. In gratitude for what Martin did for him, Charlie fires several shots at the wall. The final scene shows Charlie and his family having fun on the beach, and they are happy about the sunset. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more, hit the like button to support us, and leave a comment if you'd like us to review your favorite movie. Until the next time, take care.